Did you know that Anthony Hopkins only had 16 minutes of screen time as Hannibal Lecter in The Silence of the Lambs, yet won an Academy Award for his performance? That's right, in less time than it takes to order and receive a pizza, Hopkins created one of cinema's most terrifying and memorable villains. But what makes a truly iconic antagonist? Is it the performance, the writing, or something deeper that speaks to our primal fears? From masked slashers to psychological manipulators, from corrupt agents to alien warlords, the past 4 decades have given us some of the most unforgettable villains in cinema history. Today, we're diving deep into the dark side to explore how these characters transcended the screen to become cultural touchstones that still haunt our collective imagination. Before we jump in, a real quick ask that if you're new to the channel or haven't subscribed yet, please take a second to hit that subscribe button now. It's one small click for you, but a huge deal for us. And now, fair warning, major spoilers ahead for some of the most influential films of the past 40 years. The 1980s, when villains became legends. Our journey begins in the 1980s, an era that revolutionized how we perceive cinematic villains. This decade gave us antagonists who weren't just obstacles for our heroes, they were fully realized characters with their own compelling narratives. Darth Vader stands as the culmination of this evolution. While introduced earlier, it was The Empire Strikes Back that cemented his status as cinema's ultimate villain. The revelation that this mechanical monster was Luke's father transformed him from a simple antagonist into a tragic figure wrestling with redemption. That internal conflict, combined with James Earl Jones' commanding voice and that iconic breathing, created a villain who transcended the science fiction genre.
I am becoming more powerful than any Jedi has ever dreamed of.
I'll never join you!
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
I have brought peace to the Republic, and together you and I can rule the galaxy.
I am your father.
But the 80s weren't done revolutionizing villainy. Along came Jack Nicholson's Joker in 1989's Batman, bringing a theatrical flair that perfectly balanced humor and menace. Before Heath Ledger's legendary take, Nicholson showed us how the clown prince of crime could be both entertaining and terrifying. His performance wasn't just about the makeup, it was about showing how thin the line between comedy and horror really could be.
Jack is dead, my friend. You can call me Joker.
Then there's the iconic Hans Gruber, proof that sophistication can be just as threatening as brute force. Alan Rickman's masterful portrayal in Die Hard created the template for the intelligent villain, someone whose wit was as dangerous as any weapon. His refined manners and sharp intellect made him more than a match for Bruce Willis's everyman hero, showing that sometimes the scariest villains are the ones who could almost pass for the good guys. Speaking of nightmares, Robert Englund's Freddy Krueger redefined horror villains forever. Unlike the silent slashers of the era, Freddy was charismatic, talkative, and darkly humorous. He didn't just kill his victims, he tormented them with psychological warfare that made death seem like a mercy. What made Krueger really terrifying wasn't just his burned appearance or his razor glove, it was the fact that he attacked you in your dreams, the one place you're supposed to be totally safe. And then there's Arnold Schwarzenegger's original Terminator, a villain so compelling that they had to turn him into a hero for the sequel. The T-800 represented humanity's greatest fear, the perfect killing machine. No emotion, no mercy, and no stopping it. What made his performance remarkable was how Schwarzenegger turned his limitations as an actor into strengths. His rigid movements and monotone delivery weren't bugs, they were features that made the character more believable and more terrifying. The 1990s. Villains get sophisticated. The 1990s ushered in an era of more psychologically complex villains, none more memorable than Anthony Hopkins' Dr. Hannibal Lecter. Despite his limited screen time, Lecter became the measuring stick against which all future psychological villains would be judged. His refined taste in art, music, and cuisine made him disturbingly relatable, while his brilliant mind made him utterly terrifying. Hopkins created tension with nothing more than a steady gaze and some measured words. And, a nice Chianti.
A census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
The decade also gave us the T-1000, proving that sometimes you can improve upon perfection. Robert Patrick's liquid metal Terminator brought something new to the table, a predatory elegance that made him seem more like a shark than a robot. His calm demeanor and ability to appear anywhere as anyone tapped into our deepest paranoid fears about trust and identity. Gary Oldman's Norman Stansfield from Leon the Professional took corrupt cop tropes and elevated them to high art. His pill-popping, classical music-loving psychopath showed us that true evil often wears a badge. What made Stansfield so memorable wasn't just his violence, it was his unpredictability. Every scene with him felt like a powder keg waiting to explode. The decade closed out with two game-changing villains. Kevin Spacey's Kaiser Soze proved that sometimes the greatest villain is the one you don't see coming. The Usual Suspect's brilliant twist ending redefined how we think about unreliable narrators and villain reveals. Meanwhile, Hugo Weaving's Agent Smith from The Matrix showed us that even programs could be philosophically complex antagonists. His hatred for humanity stemmed from a disturbingly logical place, making his villainy all the more compelling. The 2000s, villains become heroes. The new millennium brought us villains who challenged our very definition of antagonists. Andy Serkis's Gollum or Smeagol represented a technological and performing arts breakthrough. Through groundbreaking motion capture technology and Serkis's brilliant performance, we got our first truly digital villain who felt completely real. More importantly, Gollum showed us that the greatest villains are often victims of their own weaknesses. But no discussion of 2000s villains would be complete without Heath Ledger's revolutionary take on the Joker. This wasn't just another performance. This was a transformation so powerful that it tragically became Ledger's legacy. His Joker wasn't funny in the traditional sense, he was an agent of chaos, who forced us to question the very foundations of civilized society. Every mannerism, every line delivery felt like it was coming from a place of true madness. His simple question, "Why so serious?" became more than just a catchphrase. It was a challenge to our entire concept of order versus chaos.
You see, I'm a guy of simple taste. I enjoy dynamite and gunpowder. All you care about is money. This town, it deserves a better class of criminal. And I'm gonna give it to him.
And then there's Javier Bardem's Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men, a force of nature disguised as a man. With his peculiar haircut and cattle gun, Chigurh represented something ancient and inevitable, death itself. His whole coin flip routine wasn't just some writing quirk. It was a philosophical statement about fate and choice that left audiences questioning their own beliefs about free will and determinism. The 2010s, villains get epic. The 2010s saw villains evolve to match increasingly epic scales of modern blockbusters. Tom Hardy's Bane brought something unprecedented to Gotham, a villain who could break Batman, not just physically, but spiritually. His masked eloquence and revolutionary rhetoric made him more than just another brute. He was a dark mirror of Batman's own mission to save Gotham. But no villain defined the decade quite like Josh Brolin's Thanos. The Mad Titan represented a new kind of antagonist, one whose goals, however twisted, came from a place of genuine concern for the universe. His perfectly balanced philosophy and paternal relationship with Gamora added layers of complexity that transcended typical superhero villainy.
You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me.
Kylo Ren brought something new to the Star Wars universe, an internal conflict that made Anakin Skywalker's turn look simplistic by comparison. Adam Driver's portrayal showed us a villain trying desperately to be evil, making his struggles all the more human and relatable. His mask wasn't hiding a monster, it was hiding a scared young man trying to live up to an impossible legacy. The 2020s, villains get real. The 2020s have given us villains who reflect our modern anxieties. Paul Dano's Riddler reimagined the classic Batman rogue as an internet-age terrorist, using social media and live streams to spread his message. This was not the spandex-clad puzzler of the past. This was a villain who felt eerily possible in our current climate. Anthony Starr's Homelander from The Boys has redefined what a superhero villain can be. Despite technically being a TV character, his impact on popular culture has been undeniable. Homelander represents power without responsibility, nationalism without conscience, and fame without accountability. His smile is way more terrifying than any superpower.
Well, I am just a man who fell for the wrong woman, Go for the wrong one.
But out of crisis comes change.
Out of crisis comes
last
change.
year.
So I spent the last year really slowing down and reconnecting with myself. And I am very excited for everyone to meet the real me.
The latest iterations of Ghostface and Jigsaw prove that classic horror villains can evolve with the times. The new Ghostface brings meta-commentary about toxic fandom and internet culture, while Tobin Bell's return as Jigsaw in Saw X showed us that even torture porn can have heart when you focus on character development. So what makes a villain iconic? Looking back at these legendary antagonists, patterns begin to emerge. The most memorable villains aren't just evil, they're compelling. They challenge our heroes, not just physically, but philosophically. Whether it's Ledger's Joker forcing Batman to question his own moral code, or Thanos making us wonder if maybe he's right, the greatest villains make us uncomfortable because they make us think. They also reflect the fears of their eras. The 80s gave us unstoppable killing machines when we feared technology running amok. The 90s brought sophisticated manipulators as we grappled with psychological threats. The 2000s and 2010s gave us villains who questioned the very nature of heroism as our world became more morally gray. And now, our modern villains mirror our fears about social media, unchecked power, and the dark side of celebrity. But that's just our take. What do you think? Which of these villains left the biggest impression on you? And what modern fears do you think will inspire the next generation of iconic antagonists? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into cinema's greatest franchises and characters. Until next time, remember, sometimes the best stories are told from the dark side.